Alright gang, welcome back to our Luxury Tax Challenge here on Mecklenburg. It is August, and it is a very, very rainy August, which is not exactly what we were hoping for here in August. We've got our oat field finally ready to harvest, so I was hoping to get in there and actually get this harvested today, but I don't think it's going to be possible. I think we're going to have to wait and do a second episode here in August just to get this harvested, because if we look at the crop calendar and the weather at the bottom specifically, it's going to rain until 1400. Not really ideal. Let's put it that way. It's not ideal at all. It also means when we're harvesting, it could go dark on us because that's a big field to harvest, right? So we might have to consider getting a larger header and harvester to lease when that time comes. Now, we do have $254,910 in the bank. Overnight, we made a lot more money off these greenhouses, so they are absolutely helping us tremendously. They do need a little water, so we will top those up today. We do have some digestate in here. That's good. The grass is still on the selling, which we talked about, right? We're just going to kind of put things on selling at this point just to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. And then the liquid fertilizer is still distributing to the greenhouses. And as you can see, there is some, but not probably enough. I think we might. We are out of digestate. So we need to do a little bit of maintenance work here right off the beginning to start. And then we're going to see what we can get into with that $254,000. I've talked at length about what I want to do with it over the last couple of episodes, and I still plan to do that today with that money. What that also means is that the amount of money we're going to put into the park is going to be immense. By far the largest amount we will be putting into the park since the series started. So I expect quite a bit of upgrades here in the park, and it to look quite different by the time this episode is all said and done. But we want to make sure we keep these greenhouses going. They are producing us quite a lot of money, and we don't really need or want that income to stop. How's everyone doing today? I hope you're all doing well. Things are pretty good, man, all things considered. Been some things going wrong and work and life and things like that I've talked about in the past, but hopefully we've branched that and are on a better path there without so much stress, hopefully. I say that with a hope that I can't guarantee that's going to happen the way that things have been going, but let's hope so. So today, $254,000. It's a lot of money. But when you look at the size of the fields and the price of the fields, it's actually not that much money. We do have more options to choose from as far as fields go than we did in the last episode. And we should, in theory, depending on which one we decide to buy, have enough or around enough to be able to still put the 10% fee that we're going to have on purchasing that field into the park. Now, I'm looking for somewhere in the low 200,000, like 214, 230, something like that. I really don't want to go any higher than that. Any higher than that, I think we're going to be struggling to be able to get the amount we need to put into the park. And not only that, there are a few other things that I want to do. I'm not positive if every single one of those will be able to happen today or not, but one of my subscribers in the comments in most recent video made a comment about a specific TMR production that we could utilize. Dan as the one who made that note. So thank you for that. I do like his idea. So let me show it to you real quick. This is what we're probably going to end up putting down. We were talking about TMR productions in the last episode and what we were going to do. And the one that he brought up is one I have never utilized before, so I think it makes a lot of sense if I can find it. Maybe I missed it. I must have missed it. Or maybe it's somewhere else. Perhaps it's not actually under factories. But anyway, it is a TMR mixer that should help us out tremendously. It really should. I am not seeing it, so it must be in a different folder. Or I say folder, a different tab that I'm missing. Anyway, he's got a TMR mixer that I think will work well. I just have to find it. I don't know exactly where it is, but I'll find it eventually. Maybe it's under cows. I don't think it would be, but maybe it's in here. No. But I'll find it. Anyway, there's a TMR thing that I installed that we can utilize for that. As far as the fields go, our options are very limited, as I mentioned. I'm kind of leaning towards like field 19 here, which has nothing in it, which is a bit unfortunate. You guys know whenever I buy a field, I like to buy it after something has been planted, seeded, drilled, whatever you want to call it, because that's less money we have to spend, right? It's less actual resources we have to utilize to get, you know, to that point. Now, this one up here kind of caught my eye a little bit. It's $225,000, so it's right at the basically the high end of what I'm wanting to spend on a field today. It's not actually that big of a field when you look at it. I mean, it is. It's 9.3 acres. But it's really not that big, you know. Like, it's not, you know, a massive field by any means. It's smaller than our current oat field, but bigger than our grass field. But it does have canola in it. Just absolutely, just 100% just drilled. So we still are going to have to put a lot of money into it to get it into a good state. But it is here. Actually, as a matter of fact, we probably can go into here and actually see truly what we're looking like here. I probably need to buy, I have to buy the, I can't buy it until I own it, I don't think, can I? Yeah, I can't buy it until I own it. So, you know, we don't really know what the sample size is. It's telling me it's a 37 loamy, 37 loamy sand, 30 sandy loam, 32 loam, and then 0% silted clay. And if we know anything about what we're looking at here, really you want loam. Silty clay is not the greatest, but loam is decent. So it doesn't have any silty clay at all in that field, according to this, just the soil distribution. But until we buy it, we really won't know. You know, just looking at it, specifically the field itself, it is not that big of a field. That's a very expensive price for such a small field. That's at least how I feel. These fields are just very, very expensive. They really, truly are. So, I mean, you know, that's one option we can go with. If we don't go with that option, our options become a lot more limited. These are 2 potato fields. I really do not like doing potatoes. At some point on some series, we will do potatoes. It's not going to be this one. I really don't want to do potatoes, so we're not going to do those. There is an absolute ton of root crops. There's a ton of carrots, parsnip, beets. There's tons and tons and tons. That's almost entirely what we have here. There's a lot of fields that don't have anything in it at all. This is a massive cornfield. I'm not even going to consider to do that. Massive fields as far as those go. Then we've got some pea fields, which, you know, in green beans. I guess this one's green beans. This one's a pea. I didn't really love doing those when I did do it in the past, but I don't hate it. It's not as much as I hate doing potatoes. There's a cotton field over here. Again, similar. But the problem with these fields, that's $1 million field. We have nowhere near that kind of money. Now, in the last episode, if you recall, we were thinking about potentially buying this grass field and doing something with it ourselves. That is another option we could do. If we buy this grass field, I could mow it today, get a little bit of extra product out of it, get a little bit of money out of it, and then we could turn it into whatever field we want. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, is choosing between this field and this field down here. And I'm kind of... or one of these 2 fields, I guess is what I should say. I'll probably get the bigger field, honestly. I'm kind of leaning towards this one, just based solely on the fact that I can mow it, get some money back, whether that's by, you know, turning it into silage and then into digestate, which will then, you know, be utilized for liquid fertilizer, or, well, just selling it as silage outright. It's a tough choice, but I think that's what we're going to do. I really want to get this field, but there's just so much extra, you know, amount of money we have to put into it, and since it's so expensive, I think what I'd rather do is get the smaller field. It's a little bit cheaper. It's not a ton cheaper, but a little bit cheaper, because we'll get some money back from the grass, and then maybe once this has a little bit more germination to it, maybe we'll have enough money to buy that one then at that point. Now that we have 3 greenhouses going, I think we're in an okay spot. And what I mean by an okay spot is we're in a good spot to probably start being able to afford a little more than we had been in the past. Now that we have 3 greenhouses going that are, you know, hydroponic, right? They make a lot more money for us than the regular greenhouses do. You know, it's not going to be every single episode that we're going to be able to go and buy a field, but every handful or less, we'll absolutely be able to buy a field, at least of this size that we're looking at right now. So I think that's what we're going to do. It was a very winded intro about what I'm wanting to do, but I was kind of, as much as I don't want to be, I was kind of very wishy-washy on what I wanted to pick there, and that's just because this is a big decision, right? This is our first field outside of what we started with, and I want to make sure it's good, because we need it to be good, because we need to get that money back as fast as humanly possible. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go and mow this field, then we're going to go ahead and bale it up, and then we'll get the bales off of it, and then we're going to plow it up. Now, one thing to note really quick, I have already looked at this before I started this episode. The used market has a plow in there. Well, it's a subsoiler, but we can utilize it as a plow. And it's the one where I can make it into a 12-meter width. Now, that requires 340 horsepower. But, you know, it's not expensive. It's not expensive at all. And that it will be a tremendous help for us right now with what we're trying to do, right? We're going to buy this field, but once we buy the field, we're going to really want to probably plow it. Now, we could just direct drill it, but then we'd have to spray it and things like that, right? If we plow it up, we won't have to necessarily spray it. So, you know, it's going to save us a little bit of money in the long run. And since that plow is used, I mean, the one that, you know, the 6-meter width that it comes with is not a terrible one. And that was only $8,000. So I'd probably just bump it up slightly from there. And then later on, if we need to bump it up higher, we can do so. So that's kind of where my head's at and where I'm going here. Going this way, going with this grass field over here, allows us to do just that. Allows us to get allows us to be able to get the plow and there we go. I wonder what was going on there. Allows us to get the plow and this field, right? So I think it makes the most sense. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to buy this one. It's $201,672. So not cheap by any means, but it is a little bit cheaper than that canola field we were looking at. So let's go for it. It's a huge purchase, man. A huge purchase. So let's go ahead and turn this on. We'll drop this down. We'll turn this on. And we'll drop this down, and we are underway. I also like this area a lot over here. I talked about that when we first came over here and did a contract early on this series. There's these 3 windmills that are kind of by themselves. All the other windmills are way, way, way in the distance. You can't even see them from here, but they're way, way, way in the distance. These are kind of cool. I like where they're currently placed. They don't really, you know, pose or cause any true issues to the fields themselves, right? You can't really buy this area that they're in. You just buy those actual windmills, so they're not really in the middle of a field taking up space. Won't cause any issues for a worker. So I'm not sure if this is one of the ones we're going to buy when the time comes, because in case you stumbled across this and don't know, one of the objectives is we have to purchase one of those windmills on the map. One of the ones on the map. Doesn't matter which one you purchase. It's literally your choice, but we have to purchase one of those. So I'm kind of leaning towards these, but we'll see. You know, I could change my mind. Who knows? Who knows? Either way, we've got to get this field all mowed up, get it all. Excuse me, sorry, gang. I just hit the microphone there. Get it all plowed up, and get a new crop put in. Now, as far as a crop goes, it is August, so there's not everything we can put in, but I think we can put canola in. Yeah, we can do canola. Mustard. I don't even know how to say that word. Looks kind of like sunflowers, but I don't even know how to say that word. Somebody will probably tell me in the comments. Humus active? I don't know. I don't even know how to say that. Field grass, poplar, and oilseed radish. Now, poplar, we did do poplar in my survival series that I did. Survival challenge. Poplar is a very good crop to put into the ground, because once you put it in once, I guess I can turn the beacons off. Once you put it in once, my understanding is you do not have to put it in again. It takes a long time to grow, a very, very long time to grow, but just having that luxury of not having to put it in again, that is something I'm willing to at least consider later on in this series. Not right now. This is only the third field we've got, right? We've got to get a lot more fields before I would even be willing to consider that. But on one of these smaller fields, that is something I would be willing to partake in. I think that would be an interesting addition and something different. I tend to find myself doing a lot of the same crops just because, well, they're familiar and they're a lot easier to do whenever you're doing these kind of challenges, right? But sometimes it's more fun to throw in something that you're not normally doing or you're not very good at. Maybe not very good at's not the word to use, but something you don't utilize very often, something you don't do very often, just to spice it up a little bit. So maybe we put some poplar in on one of these fields later on. More than likely, because I can already tell you, quick autosave here, I can already tell you, but more than likely, whenever that time comes, it'll probably be field 24 or maybe field 32. That 32 field is kind of eyeballing me. We've talked about it. It's a very, very small field. I think that makes sense for poplar. It's only $56,000. We technically could buy it right now, but then we'd have a problem with the, the 10% rule. And in case you stumbled across it, the whole luxury tax, what it means is anytime we purchase a big purchase, like a field like we just did here, or any kind of equipment, anything like that, we have got to put a 10% tax on that, and that 10% tax then has to be put into our park that we are in the process of making. Now, minor things, they don't count. So, like, when I say minor things, what I mean by that is if I'm buying seeds or fertilizer or whatever, none of that stuff, things like that, none of that matters. That does not count. We are also allowed to lease stuff, but the lease stuff doesn't have the 10% tax on it. Now, the one thing I mentioned is you're not supposed to just go and lease everything all the time. It's just mostly early on in the series to get you going. And whenever you need it, right? It's not really a goal of this series is where you could just start with the equipment I started with, lease everything the whole way through, and you can get this done pretty quickly if you did it that way, but that's not really the goal. It's just leasing when, you absolutely have to, and mostly early on stages. Which you may not think we're early on stages still in this series, but in my eyes, the way that I've been moving, we are. And that's not really something I'm trying to move quickly or anything like that. It's not like it's a race or anything to get done faster than anyone else, but yeah, I mean, there's certainly people that probably have got it done a lot faster than I have, whoever's taken this challenge on. But that's not my goal. That's not really ever my goal, is the speed. It's more of, doing the challenge, enjoying the challenge more than anything. Don't really care how long it takes me as long as I'm enjoying it. Maybe at some point we'll put in some kind of a challenge where there's a speed essence to it. Although it is Farming Simulator, so I mean, there are certain things you probably could speed up on, right? Maybe the way that you go about doing things might help speed things up, certainly. But I mean, how much faster is it going to go? When 1 or 2 episodes, maybe a handful than somebody else, maybe. You get what I mean. So we've got about halfway done here. Now, we've mowed this field and the other one, as a matter of fact, many times from a contract perspective. But now, happy to say it's ours. So we're going to get the rest of this done. We're going to go get the... well, you know what I should do, now that I say this. It doesn't matter. We're going to get the rest of this field done. We'll go get the baler, and then we'll pick up all the bales. And then it'll be time for us to purchase that plow and start plowing this field up and getting it prepped and ready to go. Now, are we going to be able to get the canola in today with everything else we have to do? Maybe. I would say more than likely we probably will attempt to get the canola in today. But if we don't get it done, if we run out of time, we run out of time. We can do it in the next episode. We can do a little bit of a mixture of, somebody, whether I say somebody, a worker or us doing the harvest, or a worker or us doing the drilling of the field if we don't get it done. I'm hoping we do get it done, but there's no guarantee. It really just depends on how long the rest of this takes and where we are as far as the time of the episode goes. So let's get to work, and we'll see what we get to. All right, so one thing I've noticed is the train goes by an awful lot. I think it went by 5 times when we were doing this. It might have been a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was at least 3. It was a little crazy how many times the train went by here. So that's something we're going to have to get used to as we move along here. But we're back over here picking up all of the bales now. I think we're going to have to make a couple of trips, unfortunately. There's the train again, just as I was saying. That train goes by so many times. It is going to be a struggle for me to get used to that. I'm going to probably run into the train quite a few times. But yeah, I believe we're going to have to make at least 2 trips here, which is a bit unfortunate. I really didn't want to have to make another trip if I didn't have to, but I think we're going to. And I don't think, the more I think about it, I don't think we're going to actually have the time to plow this field today. Or, well, I say I'm drill the field. We probably will, well, yeah, we'll probably at least start plowing the field today and maybe have the worker or myself finish in the next episode. But, yeah, we're going to have to 2 trips for sure. Because it's going to, $20,000, a little over $20,000. Well, it's actually going to be more than that after we buy the plow, right? That's going to be a lot of money to put into the park. I think the parking lot will be done with this investment. I think our little basketball court area, or our tennis court or soccer area, I think most of that's going to be accomplished as well. That, or maybe the fence that we were talking about putting in. There's a lot that I think will be accomplished with this $20,000+ we're going to be putting into the park. Almost $30,000. Well, no. I'm sorry. $21,000. Maybe slightly more than that. But right around that amount, that's a lot of money. And I showed you in the last episode some of the stuff we were going to put down as far as, the parks and things go, and they weren't expensive. They were like $50 here, $100 here. Not very expensive. Certainly not going to get us to that 20,000 range. Now, the parking lot, some of the parking spaces, and then putting the cars down, that absolutely 100% will get us there. The cars are about $1,000 a piece. The parking lot spaces you've been putting down, depending on if we took the large one down or the smaller one, they're like 4,000 something and some change, I think. So those absolutely will get us there. But once we get all of that down, we're going to have very little. What we might have to start considering doing, which is not something I was really planning on doing now because I didn't really think about it, but something we might have to consider doing is maybe saying, okay, we've got most of the park done. Whenever we buy a new field, because that's where most of this big money is going to come from, perhaps we need to say, okay, well, city, we're saving the money to put down the ice cream parlor, because the ice cream parlor, it makes no difference, $200,000. So, it's not like we're going to, well, maybe we will. I was going to say, it's not like we're going to do a purchase where we're going to have $200,000 of a 10% tax. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. You get what I'm saying, right? So maybe we have to start saying to the city, okay, well, with this purchase, we're saving X amount of dollars, and we will end up putting this towards this item, whatever it is that is more expensive than the amount, right? Maybe that's what we have to start doing later on. But right now, I don't think that's going to be a problem. We still have a lot of work to do just from the basis of the park itself. To get it up and running. The ice cream parlor is kind of a second thought to an extent, because it is an optional objective, just one that we are going to do. I will get the rest of these bales picked up. I don't think you need to watch me do that. You've seen me do that a bunch. I'll get the rest of these bales picked up, and then I'll be back with you when we're full and on our way back. All right, we are full. Let's see if we can get across the railroad tracks before another train shows up. Speaking of the railroad tracks, something I didn't notice until just now, and we've been over here quite a few times. There's a little Massey Ferguson little spray painted on the side of that box, that railroad box there, electrical box. That's kind of cool. I didn't even notice that. We've been past that so many times, and I never noticed that. I'm sure somebody else has noticed it many times already, but I never did. Whether that's because I was talking to you or I was just focused on something else, I didn't even see it. That was pretty cool. So on our way back here, this is not a full load, but it is close. This is going to give us plenty of of grass to be able to put in to make silage, which is going to make us good money, right? And then digestate, which will continue to fund our fertilizer, our liquid fertilizer specifically. Now, we do have a bunch of grass already kind of on the side of the cow barn. And we're not going to touch that for now. I said that from the beginning. We're going to kind of utilize that as we move forward to help with our TMR production stuff. We're going to get some straw now, which is going to be good from the oat field, right? So we're getting close to getting to that point where we can start getting some cows, but we're not quite there yet. But all of this can go directly into just making us some money. Should be really careful here. There's been a couple of times where I've kind of came in a little too hot right there and almost killed some of that crop. We definitely don't want that to happen. We want all of that oat we can possibly get out of that. We need all the money we can get right now. All right, we're going to line this up a little bit better and see if we can get at least a couple of these bales within the region where we need them to be at. I think we're going to be able to get all of them in there. I think so. I think they're all in there. That's good. And now that's going to be chewing through that for quite a bit. So that's good. So we'll go ahead and put this away over here. Well, in its makeshift home right now, which really isn't a home. It's just kind of in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so we need to buy this plow. I think I'm going to do the 9-meter width. The 12-meter would be nice, but I think the 9-meter is sufficient. The tractor we currently have, I don't even think it actually has that much horsepower, what it's saying it requires. But I have utilized this in the past with less horsepower than it says it needs, and it does still work. So it's a bit of a trick there, I guess, to an extent. Yeah, we have 272 horsepower, so really by those standards, we should only be utilizing the 6-meter one. Which 6 meters probably honestly fine, but I think I'm going to go with the 9-meter. I'm going to change the color. I don't really like those colors at all, if I'm honest with you. Now, I normally stick with like a standard set of colors. I think I'm going to branch out a bit. I think we're going to go orange. I don't normally go orange. A little orange and black action there, so I think we're going to go with that. $10,000. So we'll add that, tack that on. So we're going to tack that $10,000 on to the 201,000? Whatever it was. I don't remember what it was now. 201,672. So I will meet you back at the field. I'm going to head up to the shop and get this. Don't need to watch me drive all the way up there and get it from the shop. I'll meet you at the field, and we'll get started on the plowing. And then, like I said, I'm not sure we'll get it done. We might put it on a worker for a bit and then jump to the park and start working on that. All right, we made it back. Go ahead and turn the beacons off here. We're going to go ahead and drop this down after I turn on the steering assist. We are going to utilize that. I'm going to do 2-meter widths here. Or not 2-meter, 2 headlands, excuse me. And we're underway. And as you can see, even though it says we need more horsepower, we're pulling this relatively easily here. 10 mile per hour. It's not a problem. So we're going to continue on this progress here. I'm going to go around here a couple of times, and then, like I said, we'll throw it on a worker. Now, our total amount that we purchased today, which is absolutely insane, we paid $211,961 for the plow and for this field. So that means for the 10% fee of that into the park today, we have got to put $21,196 and a tiny bit of change after that, if you want to go into the exact details of it. So near it makes no difference. $21,200 is basically what we need to put into the park today, which is absolutely insane. It's going to be a big, big day for the park, man. The park is really going to look different. Really is. It is not going to look the same at all. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lines for now. Just because I'm likely, I mean, part of me wants to utilize the amount of money we're going to put into the park for the thumbnail, but part of me also wants to utilize this for the thumbnail because this is a massive upgrade for us, right? We're completely different perspective on what we've been doing. We've just been doing contracts in our own 2 fields and really nothing else. Now we've got 3 fields, and it's going to be fantastic when we get something in the ground here. It's going to make us a lot more money, and I love that. Now, could I potentially expand this ever so slightly closer to the fence? Yes. I'm not going to do that, though. I've learned my lesson. Mostly I'm talking about from an FS22 perspective. When I first started playing this game, even before I made a channel specifically dedicated to Farming Simulator, and now, I guess, slightly kind of branching out just to simulator games, I played it on my other channel that I've talked about a number of times. I do have a second channel. I played a couple for a little while on there, and it seemed like people enjoyed it, so I decided to make this channel because of that. But when I played it on there, I was very new to recording in general. Like, I was very, very new. Recording, editing, all that stuff, I was not very good at it. I'm not even saying I'm good at it now, but, you know, I've learned a few things over the years. But I got really, really close to the fence. I was literally trying to utilize as much space as I possibly could. I was trying to make myself as much money as I possibly could, and it backfired big time. I was getting pieces of equipment stuck into the fence. Tractors, equipment was flying into the air. It was a mess. Let's put it that way. It was an absolute mess. So I learned my lesson a little bit, and even though that would be nice to have a little bit of extra income there, kind of running it right up to the edge of the fence there, it is not worth it in the end. Something will get stuck. Your harvester, your tractor, your plow, whatever it is, something will get stuck. It is not worth the effort for the small amount of increase you get to your harvest. So, I guess what I'm trying to get at, long story short, we will not be doing that on this series. We will be sticking to the standard stuff here, which is, running the basic field size. We might expand some of the other fields, but anything on the edge of the map like this, we will not be expanding. We will be sticking with it as it is. Now, this plow is fantastic. We utilized this. When did we use this one? Now I'm forgetting which series we used this plow in, but we have utilized it in a past series here on FS25. I just don't recall for some reason what series it was now. I want to say it was the one tile challenge, but then at the same time I'm thinking maybe it was the survival challenge. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't make a difference. But anyway, I've utilized it in the past. I'm almost positive it was the one tile challenge. You would think I'd remember it by now. It wasn't that long ago. But I don't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now, the nice thing about this, or what we should say the nice thing about what we're doing right now, is that since it's a grass field, it should already have a nice application of fertilizer on it. We can check that by going into the menu here and going to here and then checking. Well, actually, we need to buy the stuff here, don't we? We need to purchase the soil information. That is not going to count, by the way. Well, I think I said that. Ooh, evidently we got off track here. I don't know how we got off track. I think I said that when we first started. Soil information is not something that I'm considering to be a major purchase, right? The field's already purchased, so that's not part of it. I can buy the soil stuff without having to pay the 10% tax, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, we've got some loamy sand, sandy loam, and then loam, and a very, very small amount of silty clay up there in the top corner. But, it'll kind of tell you where we're at, right? If I pull up this, actually it's not going to tell me anything there because I'm not putting anything down, but if I pull up that menu there and go back into the precision farming, it will tell you. The pH balance is, pretty decent, right? Obviously, the nitrogen, there's nothing down there. It tells you the yield. Our yield's pretty good in certain points where the loam is. Like I said, loam is a good area. We want loam as much as humanly possible. There's the train again. Man, the train goes by so many times. But anyway, you get what I mean. It, you know, it's not a terrible field, I guess is how I'll put it. It's going to need some work. We're going to have to put some stuff into it to make it in a better spot, but it's not a bad field by any means. All right, so let's go ahead and put this one on a worker, because we are, surprisingly enough, as I always say, we are getting pretty far along here in the video. It's always, you know, I always have these grand, you know, ideas to get all this stuff done, and really I just run out of time. If, you know, if this was my full job, which I'm never expecting this to be my full job, but if it was, then there'd be something, you know, be different, but I got to keep them around 30, 40 minutes. Sometimes I can get them up to an hour. It depends on, you know, how many videos I got going on. But lately, things have been going on with work and stuff. I'm behind a little bit, so I need to keep this one somewhere in the 30 to 45 minute range, and I pretty much almost eclipsed that already. And we're going to spend quite a number of minutes here on the park. And by minutes, I'm saying it really could turn into be 20 minutes. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to be dealing with here? It could be a while. So let's go ahead and put this on a worker. I need to turn it actually on the worker, not the steering assist. Come on, Z, get it together, buddy. All right, there we go. All right, let the worker do their thing. I probably should get this thing filled up with some digestate, because I'm pretty sure we were running low on digest. Actually, we don't have any digestate in there, so yeah, we need to get some digestate going. Another thing we need to think about upgrading here soon is this. I know we bought this recently, but at this point, we're now needing a bigger one so we can move these back and forth between them a lot faster. For now, I'm just going to worry about, you know, having a little bit in there, so that 8,000 is going to be plenty for the time being. Let's head on up to the park. 21,000. What did I say it was? 21,000 and something. I forget. I have to put it in my phone or write it down, one of the two, because I forget. 21,196. So 21,200 really is what needs to be put in to the park here. Okay, so we have $50,000, so we can kind of keep track of it that way. Okay, so first things first. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to pull out the kind of the entrance here to the walking path here to our little park here, or our little parking lot here, right? We're going to kind of carry that along. Now, which one did we use? I think it was just one. I think it was this one, wasn't it? It was this one. Okay. Now, this is going to be quite large here, and I get that, but that's okay. Yeah, I got to touch that up. I know. I'll touch it up. Don't worry. I'll touch it up. Don't you worry. We'll take care of it. Oh, that's not right. Where's the one we were utilizing? Is it this one? It was this one. It's gonna be difficult to get this. Got to be really close and precise with this one. All right, there you go. That'll work. That'll work. Okay, so there's our main entrance here. Now I know this is quite large compared to the actual walking path, but I've got some small ideas, I guess, for this, so it'll be okay. It'll work out. Now, I think we're gonna go. Yeah, let's get the rest of the curb done. Let's get the rest of the curb done. Now, we might have to come back in here and modify it once we get the actual... once we get the ice cream parlor set up, right? We might have to come in here and modify this a little bit, and if we do, that's fine. Let's go to about... I don't know, about... there? I think that's going to be about as good as we're going to be able to get. And then if I take this, can I get this to connect? Because this is going to drive me crazy if I can't get this to connect. Looks like I'm not going to be able to. That is annoying. Okay. I just wasted a bunch of money, but that's alright. You know, it has to be done, I guess. It's not going to allow me to do this. I'm going to have to redo it all the way down to here. That is unfortunate, man. That sucks. I don't like that at all. That sucks. It really sucks. Look how much money we've already spent on this. I mean, these curbs are so expensive, man. I was saying we're going to be able to get, you know, the curbs done, the whole parking lot done. It's almost looking like where that's not even going to be possible. I mean, that almost took out all the money we needed to spend right there. That is not actually what I was expecting at all. But at least we got it done, right? And at least we have another entrance down here, which is nice. And this is a much larger entrance instead of doing like I did over here where it's two different areas where a curb kind of pops back up for a minute. We just kept this completely open, which I think makes sense anyway for this area. Since we talked about this is probably going to be where the ice cream parlor is going to be, right? All right, 34,715. So yeah, we're not even going to be able to get a whole lot else done. That's crazy how expensive this has cost us just for the parking lot. Oh my goodness, it's insane. All right, so we can spend a little bit more money. So what I want to do, as much as I would like to continue the parking lot, we've done the parking lot a lot, right? We've done this a lot. Let's do something a little different. Let's at least try to get something down to kind of fit in with what we were talking about over here with the rest of the park, right? Let's actually make it start to look like a little bit of a park to an extent. So what I think I'm going to do... Do we want to do the soccer fields or... Or do we want to do like a playground first? So... we talked about it a little bit last time, but here's my other idea, right? So if we're going to put the ice cream parlor over here, I was thinking like a little bit of a kids' play area right here in this section, right here. And then keep this front area here like we talked about for tennis courts, basketball courts, and then the soccer fields back here. I still think that makes the most sense. But the only problem is I don't want to necessarily put the playground in here until we know exactly how much space we're going to have after we put down the ice cream parlor, right? The biggest problem with the soccer nets is there's actually not a net on it. It's just an empty... All right, we're going to start the basketball courts, I think. And I'm going to put one over here, which may not be what you expect. And I mean, I'm not really going to be able to get this perfect, so don't hold me to it too much, right? We're not going to be able to get the perfect, amount of length between one court to the other. It's going to be very difficult to do that. But I think as long as I get it relatively close, I don't think many people will complain too much, hopefully. It would definitely be easier, I think, if I wasn't on... It's not. I'm not complaining. I like being on console, but I do think it would be easier to just maneuver everything more precisely. What do you think? Is that too far away from each other? I don't think so. I might need to be a little bit further, but I think for the most part that is relatively okay. Okay, well, we just got paid, so now my calculations are all off again, but as long as we get close, I guess that's good enough. Now, the problem we have here is I don't know what I'm going to put on the ground here for the basketball court, right? I don't really have any kind of... I guess we just go with straight, like, concrete, like asphalt, right? Because I don't really have anything specifically that looks like, you know, basketball court type of flooring. Which is really what we already have down here, right? That's what we already have here. Whoops. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I mean, if anybody's still watching, I want your input, though. I do. Because you guys probably have better ideas than I have about how to make this look better. So we got that, and the next thing I think we do is put a bit of a fence around it to try to help, you know, contain the ball from getting out, right? But we don't want it to be... I don't know. It needs to look... It needs to look like a fence you would put around like a basketball court, which typically, you know, you're looking for like a chain link type of fence, which maybe this is what you want. I don't know. That kind of looks more like... It looks like more like jail-like fence, though, doesn't it? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. All right, let's see. What else we got? We got this, which... No, that maybe that's even worse. That might be the one to do. That looks a little bit more like something for like a sport at a park, right? Okay, well, let's keep looking. But that's probably the one we're going to go with here. I don't have a ton of fences installed. There might be some better fences that I could install. Perhaps. Double rod mat fence pack. I mean, that's kind of, I guess. But I don't know. I think this one looks a little bit better. Where'd it go? Here it is. I think this one looks a little bit better. Yeah, see, this is expensive too, but that's okay. I think if we get the rest of this basketball area kind of fenced off, I think we're going to meet our quota of what we had to spend today because of how expensive this is. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we've met the quota. All right, let's go take a look at that. Let's see how that looks. Now, I could, and maybe I should, put an entrance on the other side by the entryway to the park there, but I think this is sufficient right here. I think that's sufficient entry. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should I move this back a little bit more? Maybe. Probably so, because I have this one so close back. Maybe I should do that. Let's do that really quick. Nope. Ooh, you know what? I don't even know if this is going to let me do it. It might not set up correctly, but let's see if we can try to force it in. I'm going to force it to be like on top of the other one and then try to get rid of this one and see if it still looks okay. You'll get what I'm saying. I'm probably not explaining it properly right now, but you'll get what I mean as soon as I am able to get this to where I want it to be. No, it's going to be on top of it. It's not going to work. Okay. All right, so that means we just need to do the same thing we just did here. Take this. I screwed that up. I saw the worker complete their task and I screwed that up. So the worker has finished the whole plowing. We've spent a lot of time over here. I knew we were going to. We're at 22 minutes. Oh my gosh, it doesn't feel like we've been doing this for 22 minutes. Holy cow. Okay, I think that's better. There's still a little bit of space. There's more space actually than this one has. But I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think? Do you think that looks like a decent basketball court area? We'll probably do a second one, like I mentioned. I don't know. You guys let me know. I'm relatively happy with it, though. I really am. And I think we've spent enough money, too. Because remember, we did make some money at 12 o'clock. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. I'm happy with that. All right, we are going to leave the episode at that point, gang. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you smash the like, subscribe button for me. On case you have yet to do so, they both help me out an absolute ton. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or ideas, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. I'm happy to get back to you on those. Thank you so much to my members. Cannot thank you guys enough. Again, I do have a video coming for you for September. I am behind. I apologize, but I will be out this week, I assure you. And, yeah, thanks so much for continued support. Discord's down below, and I'll see you next time.